Here is a recorded track of a YouTube presentation. This presentation was forwarded to Mountainside FM. I've copied it down onto our platform as I am certain this presentation from a Bay of Plenty doctor will hopefully help New Zealanders to see the dangerous times we are actually currently living in. We have far too many New Zealanders who sit down most days and hang on every word from that beehive, the Lady of Shady Lane, as she continues to utter on the TV updates and helped by a doctor who's not seen a patient for 25 years. Those people who sit there and suck all that information that's being fed them, they should take a wake-up pill. And to the indoctrination they are exposing themselves to on a daily basis. Listen to this lady doctor from the Bay of Plenty and see whether you can actually balance this honest opinion and experience to the nonsense that is fed New Zealanders every day and every night on the crooked mainstream media.
Thanks for coming today. My name's Alana and I've been a GP in the Mount and Papamoa. When my baby was born, I stopped working to look after him, and the last 18 months has been really interesting. My husband is also a doctor and he's on the other side of the fence. He's fully vaccinated for COVID and thinks I'm nuts. And my son is fully vaccinated with his childhood immunisation, so I'm not an anti-vaxxer. But this is really concerning what we find ourselves in today. We have politicians who have no idea of science trying to tell doctors what they can and can't do, what they can and can't say, and what treatments they can use. And those doctors that speak out are losing their jobs, losing their medical licences, being censored, being cancelled. A good friend of mine, Matt Shelton, lost his medical licence and is about to get kicked out of the Royal Fellowship of General Practitioners for telling a pregnant woman that there was another choice to make other than take the vaccine. How dare Jacinda do this to us? How dare she tell pregnant women to take a jab that is not proven? How dare she say it's safe when the British Medical Journal published a study saying 82% of first and second trimester pregnancies that were jabbed ended in miscarriage? How dare she say it's safe for the baby in the mother's tummy when we've got no long-term studies? The first cohort of babies are just being born. A pathologist who did an autopsy on a baby that miscarried after the mother was vaccinated said it was the most grotesque thing he had ever seen, with malformed blood vessels coming out of every orifice. Do you want that to happen to our babies? How dare she suggest that she's going to mandate these vaccines for babies 6 months old? Yes, she's guilty of crimes against humanity. How dare she attempt to vaccinate our precious children, the future of this country, with something that we know wrecks their hearts? There have been numerous cases of teenagers in this country in ICUs in just about every city with myocarditis, which is not a mild disease. It is not something you get over with a bit of anti-inflammatory. It affects you for the rest of your life. How dare she deny the fact that we have had 4 teenagers die from clots in their lungs and clots in their hearts due to this vaccine. The coroner in the newspaper said she could not rule out the vaccine. It takes 2 months for an autopsy Jacinda say that it was not due to the vaccine. She is paying people to be quiet. She is making families sign waivers not to discuss what has happened to their loved ones.
She's a fascist.
How dare she shut down our cancer clinics and all the other essential medical services needed for everyone in this country on a weekly basis? How many more deaths from cancer have we had because of these lockdowns? How many more suicides because people cannot feed their families? She says she cares about our children. She says she cares about mental health. She's lying. We have sent Jacinda the science. We know she's read it. We know she's not ignorant. So if she's not ignorant, is she intellectually incapable of understanding it? No. I don't think she is. Is Ashley intellectually incapable of understanding it? No. He might not have seen a patient since 1996, but he has got the baseline education. So why are they doing this to us? They are doing it for something totally unrelated to health. This is related to how our economy runs and how they want it to run. It's related to the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab, who runs the World Young Leaders, of which Jacinda, President Macron and Trudeau are all graduates. They are not hiding their agenda. We are not conspiracy theorists for bringing it up. It is all there on their website, plain to see. It's part, as Kirsten said, of Agenda 21 and Agenda 30 through the United Nations. Again, that's not a conspiracy theory. That is in almost every piece of government legislation in this country. Who is funding our epidemiologists who stand up there telling us to wear masks and shut our front doors? Gabby, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, fund Mike Baker and Otago University. How can we trust that this government is using any form of science? All they are using is propaganda. They have bought the media. The media should be the fourth estate. The media is a bunch of criminals. How dare she say that people like Robert Malone, who invented mRNA technology, people like Peter McCullough, who has thousands of papers to his name, a highly respected cardiologist, people like Charles Hobbs, who found out about the D-dimer testing with the vaccine, had his practice burnt to the ground. Anyone that speaks up the truth is demonized, called an anti-vaxxer, spreader of misinformation. But the only misinformation being spread in this country is by Jacinda. This is a massive experiment. And we know in 1947 that the Nuremberg Code was written to prevent exactly this happening. The Nuremberg Code says that we should participate willfully and with full consent in any medical experiments, that those medical experiments should not carry more of a risk than the thing that they are trying to prevent, that people can withdraw from those medical experiments at any point they wish. And if the adverse outcomes are proven to be worse than the disease they are trying to prevent, the government should shut them down. We have had 204 deaths in this country, and they are being ignored. That is disrespectful. How do you think the people who have been injured and the families of the people who have died feel when they are told it is in their head or just a coincidence. My mother had a heart attack 19 hours after her first vaccination and spent 5 days in ICU, previously completely well and with no heart blockages. But it was just a coincidence, nothing to do with the vaccine. This is disgusting. It's a crime against every person in this country. In Nuremberg, the punishment for crimes against humanity involved the gallows. We no longer have capital punishment in this country, but I suggest a good punishment would be a ball and chain around your ankles, digging hard, rocky ground for the rest of your life. How dare she?
And I'm going to add to that call, how dare she? And how dare she convince and manipulate and change and even infiltrate the minds of even the weak-willed New Zealander to follow her particular wishes. I have been saying this for a long, long time, that this particular woman that we now have as Prime Minister is probably one of the most dangerous people we have had in the Prime Minister's office in New Zealand as long, well, I can't recall, even looking at history, anyone as evil as her and her cohorts. And people sit at home and are indoctrinated by the crap and the nonsense. And this nonsense of you wearing a face mask is simply for you to be subservient to a Ardern and her crooked band of whoever they are. So every time you put a face mask on, remember that you are following the sign of subservience. Next thing, you'll be asked to have probably a tattoo on your wrist.